X-ray lumbar spine. The human vertebral column, it consists of 33 vertebrae, 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral vertebrae which are fused, and 4 coccygeal vertebrae. Now before going on to the X-ray lumbar spine, first let us see the anatomy of lumbar spine. Now here in this image we can see this is the axial section of a lumbar spine. The various parts of a lumbar spine are a vertebral lumbar spine are, this is the vertebral body. The part which connects the vertebral body and the transverse process is the pedicle. This is the spinous process. The part which connects the transverse process and the spinous process is the lamina. And each vertebra consists of a superior articular facet and inferior articular facet. Now this is the intervertebral disc which consists of two parts. The central part is the nucleus pulposus and the peripheral surrounding part is the annulus fibrosus. Now here we can see this is the sagittal image of a lumbar spine. Here we can see this is the vertebral body, the intervertebral disc. This is the pedicle, the transverse process. This is the superior articular process which articulates with the vertebra superiorly. This is the transverse process, and here this will be the part of lamina. Now this image shows us the posterior aspect of the lumbar spine. So here we can see the lamina. This will be the inferior articular process, and this is the spinous process. Now the X-ray lumbar spine is taken in two views. Now in this slide we can see this is the AP view, also known as anteroposterior view. So here the patient lies supine on the X-ray table. His arms are kept over the chest or by the sides of the table. The knees are flexed and there is no rotation of the pelvis, and the X-rays are projected in the inferior direction. So here we can see there are two lines. One is the vertical line and second is the horizontal line. So the horizontal line, it should pass 1 inch below the iliac crest, and the vertical line, it should pass through the midline at the level of L4 L5 vertebral level. So this is the position of this is how the AP view of lumbar spine is taken. Now if you see this X-ray, this is the AP view of a lumbar spine. Now here we can see this is the sacral vertebra and these are the lumbar vertebrae. Now what these vertebrae represent, what are the anatomical structures present here? So here we can see in this image the highlighted red structure, this is the transverse process, and these circular rings, these two circular rings, they represent the pedicle which connects the vertebral body and the transverse process, and this part, this is the vertebral body of the lumbar spine. The one in yellow represents the spinous process. So similarly here we can see this is the vertebral body, the pedicle, the transverse process, and these are the spinous processes. The next is the lateral view. In lateral view, the patient lies in the lateral recumbent position where his hips and knee are flexed, and the horizontal line, it passes 1 inch above the level of the iliac crest, and the vertical line is halfway between the ASIS, that is anterosuperior iliac spine, and the posterior superior iliac spine. Now this is the X-ray of lateral view of a lumbar spine. Here we can see this is the sacrum, this is the L5 vertebral body, L4, L3, L2 and L1. Now what are the various anatomical parts of a lumbar vertebra which we see in a lateral view? So here we can see this is the vertebral body, this is the pedicle, these larger structures, these are the spinous processes which are present posteriorly. Then this is the inferior articular process of this vertebra, and this is the superior articular process. and the part which connects the superior and the inferior articular process is the pars interarticularis. Now, this is the AP view and this is the lateral view of lumbar spine. As we have already seen, this is the spinous process. These structures are the pedicles present bilaterally, and this is the transverse process. So these structures we will be seeing in an AP view. In lateral view, we see the vertebral body, the pedicle, this is the vertebral foramen, and these are the facets, the inferior articular process and the superior articular process of this particular vertebra. Now let us see some of the common conditions of lumbar spine. The most common one is the degenerative spine. Now the most common condition is the degenerative spine. Now in this image we can see this is the AP view of lumbar spine. Here we can see that there is mild scoliosis towards left side. There are few developing osteophytes. Similarly in lateral view we can see these are the developing osteophytes. Osteophytes are nothing but they are cartilage capped bony proliferation that develop at the margin of the joints, and these are present in any degenerative condition. And next finding is we can see there is decreased joint space, intervertebral joint space between the L4, between the L3, L4 vertebra. Spondylolisthesis. Spondylolisthesis means slippage of one vertebra in relation to the one below. The most common sites are L4, L5 and L5S1. Spondylolisthesis is of two types, anterolisthesis and retrolisthesis. Anterolisthesis means anterior displacement of the vertebral body over the other, and retrolisthesis means posterior displacement. Now here we can see this is the sacrum, L5, L4, L3, L2 and L1 vertebra. Here there is anterior displacement of L4 vertebra over L5 vertebra. Now there is a classification for spondylolisthesis which is Meerding classification. There are 4 grades under this classification. So how to identify it? Now here we can see there is anterior displacement of L5 vertebra over the S1. So what we do is we divide the superior end plate of S1 vertebra into 4 parts. Starting from posterior aspect, the first 25%, 50, 75 and 100%. And the grade depends on the location of the posterior inferior corner of the vertebra which is present above. So here we can see this posterior inferior corner of L5 vertebra, it is just reaching up to 50%. So this will come under grade 2 of spondylolisthesis. Now next is the picture frame vertebra. Here we can see the cortex of the vertebral body, it is thickened and there is increased osteoclastic activity which causes resorption from the normal bone. This condition is generally seen in Paget's disease. There is increase in the opacity of the cortex. As we can see here, the superior and inferior end plates are thickened. Next is the Rugger-Jersey spine. There is increased densities which are prominent at the vertebral end plates. Here we can see the superior and inferior end plates, they are prominent, they are sclerotic with radiolucent areas within the vertebral body. So this gives an appearance of sclerotic, lucent and sclerotic. So this mimics the horizontal stripes which are present in the jersey of rugby players. So this represents a Rugger-Jersey spine, and this condition is seen in renal osteodystrophy and secondary hyperparathyroidism. Next condition is the ankylosing spondylitis. It is a seronegative spondyloarthropathy which results in fusion of the spine and sacroiliac joints. This condition is more common in males than females with 3:1 ratio. The most commonly affected joints are the SI joints, and some of the common findings in spine are the shiny corner sign, which represents small erosions at the corners of the vertebral body with reactive sclerosis. The second finding is the squaring of the vertebral bodies. The vertebral bodies appear like a square. Then there is ossification of spinal ligaments, joints, and discs. Next important sign is the bamboo spine, where there is syndesmotic ankylosis, means there is paravertebral ossification which runs parallel to the spine. Here we can see there is ankylosis of these joints. So there is paravertebral ossification, as well as another sign is the dagger spine, where there is linear ossification along the central aspect of the spine, that is the interspinous ligament. So there is calcification of ossification of the interspinous ligament. Next condition is the spondylolysis. Spondylolysis means defect in pars interarticularis of the neural arch. Pars interarticularis is the portion which connects the superior and the inferior articular facets. Now most commonly this is seen in L4 or L5 vertebra. Now here we see the Scotty dog with collar sign. Means what? This is the lateral view of this is an oblique view taken where there is a Scotty dog appearance. Now the eye of the Scotty dog, it represents the pedicle, the nose represents the transverse process, the ear represents the superior articular process, the foreleg, it represents the inferior articular process, and the portion between the superior and inferior articular process is the pars interarticularis. So here we can see there is a linear radiolucent line which is present in the region of pars interarticularis. This represents a fracture which is also known as collar. So here in this image we can see this fracture line, it represents the collar of a Scotty dog. So this is given the name Scotty dog with collar sign. Next is the compression fracture. So there is loss of vertebral body height present in this lumbar vertebra, which can be present in the anterior, middle, or the posterior parts. So there are three gradings according to JNAT classification. Grade 1 is the mild compression, where there is less than 25% loss of vertebral height. Grade 2 includes 25 to 40%, and grade 3 includes more than 40% loss of the vertebral body height. So here we can see this is the L5 vertebra, L4, L3, L2 and L1. So there is a compression fracture present at the L1 vertebral body. Next condition is the diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis, also known as DISH. There is bony proliferation at the site of tendinous and ligamentous insertion of the spine, as here we can see. There is ossification of the anterior longitudinal ligament. This condition is most commonly seen in elderly between 60 to 70 years of age. Here, this is also known as flowing ossification, which is present along the anterior longitudinal ligament in at least 4 contiguous vertebrae. Here we can see the disc, intervertebral disc, is well preserved. Next is the chance fracture, also known as seatbelt fracture or flexion distraction type of injury. It is an unstable fracture and it involves all the 3 spinal columns. Most common location is it is present in the upper lumbar spine. There is anterior wedge fracture of the vertebral body with horizontal fracture line through the posterior elements, and there is distraction of facet joints and spinous process. Now here in this AP view of this lumbar spine we can see there is vertical separation of the posterior elements. That means we can see this radiolucent line. This is the fracture line which can be seen passing through the pedicle, the transverse process as well as the spinous process. So there is a transverse fracture across the transverse process lamina, and the articular processes. As we can see here in this sagittal image, all the three spinal columns are involved. So there is widening of the facet joint as well as widening of the interpedicular distance. Thank you.